job is just to know.
That's pretty impressive. I guess they got 2926 all restored, and she was running around the local yard track there along the main line in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've actually been there. It's actually interesting. But they're having problem getting permission for her to, I guess, run on the main line, start doing excursions and stuff like that. So it's almost like she's trapped there. A lot of videos about her, and they use the term trapped in that little industrial area. Anyways, real quick, you've heard the term, if you're going to do shipping, or I mentioned it a couple of times, as your models get bigger, especially if they're vintage models, they get brutally heavy. Like this guy here, just like lifting weights. To ship this, its own weight becomes its worst nightmare, its worst enemy. It becomes a projectile, an armored piercing round. As I mentioned in the last video, I have interviewed a lot of guys, and my coworker used to interview a lot of guys. He knew I was a train guy, so he would ask these questions out loud so I could hear them. And he would ask these guys, hey, you know, how do you guys unload those shipping containers at UPS or the post office or whatever? And almost each one of those guys would say, we're casual labor, we're on call. One or two of us get assigned to empty out a whole trailer of parcels, packages. We only have so much time to do it before we move on to the next one. And they just toss them out. They go deep in the trailer and they toss them out of the trailer. They land on the ground, on the concrete, and they roll around and make a big pile. Other guys come with carts, get all those things, and take them to different destinations they got to go. So you do not want this thing flying through the air. I don't care how well you pack it in popcorn and wrap it around. Whichever lands, when she goes flying through the air, whether it's rear end first or nose first, when she hits that ground, all this weight, forward momentum, all that mass is not going to stop till it meets unmoving mass, which is the ground, and this thing will keep flying forward. That's when you get these guys that get bent in the front, and this one's got that really bad here. That's a thick casting, and she got totally bashed in the front. Guarantee you that's what happened. There's only one way to ship these things when they get this heavy. You could do the double box method, which is kind of cool. I've done it a few times also myself, but you'll hear the terms, and I use the term here. And John Lyon, this is where I asked the question, have you ever strapped a locomotive down to a board for shipping? It's real easy once you start doing it this way. I've never gotten a single one returned from damage once I started doing this way. And I was in Chicago one time. I bought a bunch of locomotives. I went on the plane. I had to ship them back. I didn't know how to do it. They were big locomotives. And Mike Hill from Hill's Hobbies, the guy who used to put the original guy that put that show on in March Meet in Chicago every March. He was the one that told me, he goes, you got to strap that down to a board, and he showed me how to do it. Just picking up scraps under the tables that dealers had left, boxes and stuff. I shipped my stuff back. None of it got damaged. I have shipped stuff to Chicago before I knew of that method, and all my items, all of them, even though I got insurance through UPS, they all got damaged, and UPS did not want to honor their insurance because they put up excuses after excuses why it's your fault that your stuff got damaged. So to ship something like this, to ship John Lyon's locomotive back to him, all of us going to be happy that he's receiving. All of us have been watching this video. And then to hear that it got damaged and he received it all mushed up. How would we feel? How would John feel? How would I feel? So you kind of get where I'm coming from. So this video is kind of important just for John's ready to ship some items to me. So I told him strap it down. I don't know if you saw that part of my message or not. What you want to do is you want to get a nice board. In this case, this is a 1/2 inch by 4 inch. You could use a board like this. You could use Sometimes I go to the store, I get these hobby boards like balsa wood. Of course, they're longer. This one's already been cut. Just get a nice thick one, a nice hard one. I went to Home Depot yesterday and I picked up a 1x4. That'll work too. That's a nice long one, so I'll be able to cut it into sections and ship all sorts of stuff back to John or anyone else or myself. If I start selling stuff on eBay again, I only had one item that got damaged, and it wasn't damaged because I packed it wrong. I didn't use this method. It was from the Don Miller collection. It was a big Cockerham painted and repowered U.S. Hobbies or Max Gray Norfolk and Western Y6B or Y6A. And the guy paid $5,000 for that thing. I shipped it to him in England. He emails me and says, "Hey, man, thing came all destroyed." I go, "No way, man." I go, he said he's going to go look into it. He got back to me and he said, and I didn't know what was going on, right? He got back to me and said, "Oh, well, it's not really your fault. This was right after 9/11. He said, it went through Heathrow. They didn't know what it was. They x-rayed it. They just saw a metallic tube with wires. They thought it was a pipe bomb of some sort. So they put it out on this big giant parking lot, and with a huge high pressure water hose, they blasted the box open, thinking it would explode or something like that, and it just destroyed the model." So he was all bummed out, and he goes, "Oh, I guess it's just my fault. I'll just have to lose out." And I go, No. I go, "Man, put that thing back in the box, all the parts. Send it to me. I'll refund your money, and you know what? I'll rebuild that. You know, over time, I'll rebuild it. It's no big deal." And he never got back to me, and I really felt bad about that one to this day. So, anyways, get your board, whatever shipping box you're gonna use. And this was the shipping box. This was the shipping box that this particular model came in. Cut your board to the exact length of the length of the box. In this case, just by lucky happenstance, this board I had lying around here in my shop is exact length as that shipping box. So if I ever had to ship this somewhere, I could use that box and this board. It has to be the exact length where it presses against each end. You don't want any slop because the forward momentum is the killer here. So what this board does, it provides a stable base for the model. Obviously, of course, it provides a stable base and stable protection in more than one way, and I'll explain them all right now. Just be patient with me, guys. This is really going to help you guys out, hopefully, if you ever have to ship big, heavy item like this. Because the two ends touch the ends of the box, no matter how they throw it, it's not going to keep moving forward. When the box stops, the locomotive stops. And I'll show you why she doesn't move forward on the board when we get a little deeper into this video. This is a quick video, by the way. Also, because of the board, if you drop the model down on the concrete, the box, this board, because it's so wide, even though it's packed with popcorn or newspaper or shipping paper, like in this case, the width prevents it from sinking. The width of the board, the length of the board, all that flat surface area prevents it from, even if you drop the box, from compressing down. It stays in place as long as you pack that popcorn in, nice and snug, and the paper and stuff. And also vice versa if the model moves up or sideways. So this board acts and protects the model in more than just one way, prevents the lateral forces either forward or reverse, the up and down forces either down or up, and even sideways. So this is an excellent way of shipping. So John, what we do here is go ahead and wrap that locomotive up like a burrito. So there you go. I don't, I'm a pretty good expert at wrapping burritos, as you guys can tell. but I don't tuck in the ends. When we strap this thing to the board, we're gonna use the loose ends and use the tape to kind of do that for us like this. See, so normally a burrito, you know, you wrap it up and this and that. I guess you can do that, but I've learned over time, use the loose ends that stick out and use that also for the tape to press down on that board. So watch what we're gonna do right here, John. Let me, and I'm sure John knows this already, but I wanna protect his models as much as possible. So you could close up the wrapping paper many different ways, but the tape is going to do that for us when we put it on the board. So you get the model, put it on the board, center it, and now you're going to wrap this thing down. I'm not going to say super tight or tight. I'm going to say nice and firm. Don't damage the model and stuff, but it does have to be nice and firm, because you're going to put so much tape throughout the length of this burrito that in itself is going to keep the model from going forward and backwards. So let's just do this real quick without taking too much of you guys' time. Okay, let's start like this. So this is kind of like the awkward part. We're not used to kind of doing this. So that's like the first one. It seems like a hassle compared to how you're used to shipping, and it probably is, but as the models get bigger and heavier, you got to do it this way. Protect your investment. I just mentioned to you how UPS did not honor their insurance, and I bought a lot of insurance at that time for my models. Every single one got damaged. Here's a name from the past. Bob Felix out of Kansas City came up and bought all my damaged Santa Fe models, and he said he would fix them. And Bob Felix wound up being a great friend throughout the years. Don't know if he's still around or not. Of course, I'm doing this fast on camera, so we're making mistakes. But do you see how I locked that loose end down to be part of the solution? We'll do the back one. And you can tell it's snug when you start wrapping it snug, because the back will lift up. If you're doing the back first and snugging it down, then the front will lift up. That's a good indication that you've, in terms of the tightness or the snugness or the firmness, that you're putting the tape on your model, that you're right on point. So I'm pressing the model down, making sure that tape is nice and tight. And you can tell because, like a corset or whatever, you can see the cinchered indentation of where the tape is. Let's do some more. Like I said, this is kind of important for all of us. No other scale has to do this. We got to do this because of the mass. The mass that the models, the enjoyment that that mass brings us. Well, it can work against us. So press it down, and like that. So this guy, even with those pieces of tape, this guy ain't going nowhere. See what I mean? Keep wrapping it in tape. We only did this real quick for just for video purposes. But look at that. You can pick it up. You put it. Put your popcorn in there and your newspaper or whatever you're going to use. But see that? She's not going to move around too much. Hardly, if anything. Put your popcorn nice and firm. Now you can ship it, and they can toss this box around all they want. This thing is not going to move too much, but it definitely is not going to move on its platform. So I hope this helps anybody, everyone, or whoever is going to be doing shipping or expecting shipping to come by, or doing eBay sales, or John Lyon or myself and stuff. I am going to ship John Lyon's American 440 back to him using this method. You could get a little wider box and include the tender here on the side. You don't have to do this to the tender. The tender's fine. It doesn't have weight in it to be its own worst enemy. If you can't do it this way, you got to do it the other way, the normal standard way we all ship stuff. Hopefully you could take the boiler weight out of the locomotive and put that aside, and that should help a lot. But the other way is not guaranteed, and this way pretty much, like I told you, in 20 years I've never had... In 20 years of doing eBay sales, I've never had a single one of these come back damaged when I do it this way. When I've shipped just the regular way with popcorn and stuff, I've had a couple pieces come back a little bit dinged up. Yeah. So I'm not Mr. Know-It-All, and I'm not trying to lecture anybody. Just this is my experience. If you can use some of it or part of it, I hope it helps you out. Anyways, you guys have an amazing rest of your evening, and we will see you hopefully on the next video. I think I'm going to do a coal load for John Lyon here pretty soon on that 440. I'll film that for you guys too, and then the paint. All right, guys, you all take care. Bye.